Pretty Little Liars, the TV show, sometimes deals with disturbing and problematic topics. We provided a list of content warnings in the episode description.
Good day, sir.
Cool. All right. You can bring us in whenever you're ready.
You just look so happy.
I'm ready to go. Feel all right today.
I love it. I'm so miserable inside.
Have you ever been able to hear after?
I can always hear, and I think that's the problem.
I'm like the babies with the cochlear implants.
Hello and welcome to Dead Ends. I'm Emily.
I'm Brenton.
And he's cheerful today.
It was also a smooth segue. I was like, oh, damn. All right, we're in it.
You get me with the content warning. I'm just starting the podcast.
Bam.
All right, we are going to talk about episodes 12 and 13, which is exciting because in episode 14, we meet a character that I think you're going to really enjoy.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if he's really exciting
okay.
until way later. But like he builds good.
Okay.
He builds good.
Cool.
Well, by way later, I mean, like 4 to 5 episodes.
Before the end of the season. So, maybe just a couple episodes.
So you want to recap our first episode 12?
Yes, I'm ready to go. I like these episodes. These were a good time.
Salt meets wound.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yep. Come on, phone. All right, here we go.
It doesn't recognize you.
No, it doesn't. Open on a sticker that says Humpty Dumpty was pushed. And Hannah is putting this sticker over the A message on her cast, and this was apparently a sticker from Spencer, and she said the only other stickers were like Jesus stickers, so this was the best one. Probably the Jesus stickers would have been better since, Hannah had like a long time of being bullied called Hefty Hannah. But that's just me. Hannah asks Aria about Noel and if she's followed up with him, and she's like, I've just been actively avoiding him. Hannah rolls over to her pantry to go get some food while her friends are bringing in her items from the car to move her back into the house, and she knocks over a bunch of pasta boxes, and she goes to pick them up, and inside she finds Ashley's rolls of money. Hannah then hides it from all her friends. As her friends come back, acts super awkward and just like, you can go home. Like, I'm fine. Like, just go. And they correctly are like, you don't need to act brave. Like, we're happy to stay with you. And she's like, no, I'm totally fine. Get out of here, please. Spencer is the only one who really stops and notices and looks at her and is like, you have to boil that first. And then Hannah's just like, yeah, okay, leave now. After they all leave, Hannah gets a text from A. That says, like mommy, like daughter. Can you run from the law on those legs?
No, she can't.
No. Ashley then comes home with a sit-up pillow and new blanket, and Hannah's like, hey, what about like us not spending money? And also I found this box, this roll of money in the lasagna box. And Ashley's like, what the hell? Why are you looking at the carbs that we don't touch for 5 years? This was an unauthorized loan from the bank, and it's fine. It's from a customer who will never know it's gone, and I'm gonna pay it back.
I mean, you know what? Rob from the rich.
I'm still fascinated by this woman coming in with duffel bags of money to put in her safety deposit box.
I feel like that's probably not as uncommon as we think.
Yeah, maybe not.
Especially like the put your money under your mattress generation.
Oh, totally. Might as well put it in the safety deposit box where it'll be safe. Except from Ashley.
But it's still cash. It's not in your account, so it's still real.
Right, exactly.
How big is that? Every safety deposit box I've seen is pretty small.
Yes, but I think you can get bigger ones. I'm usually you're thinking of the ones that are like
they look like
yay big.
Yeah, and then you slide the whole thing out, and it's like a long, thin drawer. But like you probably couldn't fit all of that cash.
Maybe
in
only
there.
a couple inches tall.
Yeah,
because I feel like most people keep like jewelry and stuff. And like bank,
we kept our savings bonds.
There you go, savings bonds.
I don't know what else though.
Yeah,
we didn't have any like special family jewels though, so I guess that does.
Yeah, that's me coming from like movies. I think of like
What's in your safety deposit box, Brenton?
If I had one, jewels.
Do you have jewels?
I don't.
Oh.
But, if I got jewels, it would then necessitate the safety deposit box.
I guess so. What are you doing with the jewels?
Holding on to them.
Why?
Because they're very expensive and I don't want to get robbed. Or if I do get robbed, I don't want them gone.
What's the point of having something in a box that you're never going to use or look at?
It's much like a dragon sitting on top of its hoard of gold.
You're the dragon?
Exactly. The comfort knows from collecting.
Okay, just checking. I was just curious, as someone who didn't have that background, I wasn't aware of dragon hoarding tendencies.
Yeah, I'm happy to enlighten everybody. And
I come from squirrels. We bury it somewhere. We may find it again. We may not.
Hannah is freaked out by this, and Ashley's like, don't worry, I'm going to pay it all back. And Hannah's like, how? Ashley's like, don't worry. It's just going to happen, okay? The Fieldses, Emily's family. I asked Emily, I'm like, what's their last name? And she's like, Fields, because she plays sports. And I was like, oh my God, it's probably true.
Emily does sports.
And they all have an awkward meal together. And Pam asks awkwardly, does Maya have food allergies or does she not eat anything? And then walks to the kitchen, and then Emily talks to her father. You phrase it
like, does she not eat?
Exactly. It's like she's really awkward asking Emily, because we find out that Maya's going to come over to the house for dinner and have dinner with the family.
At least Pam asked.
Yes.
You know how many people have been shocked when I've been like, I'm deathly allergic to peanuts. I will not eat your Nutter Butters.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, where do we get lost?
And Emily is so anxious that she completely forgets to mention anything.
Yeah. Well, or they're still pretty new to dating. Does she know Maya's allergic to shrimp?
It's hinted at later that she forgot. Yeah. Which I'm assuming is just I'm trying to walk around eggshells on with my mom right now.
Yeah. I was trying to be people pleasy.
Yeah, exactly.
At the risk of your safety.
Exactly. She's young. This is the first time it sounds like this is the first time she's really been in an awkward situation with her family like this, out in the open. Not my parents, but away to herself. And Emily talks to her father about this and if mom's going to be okay. And Wayne is like, don't worry, she'll kill Maya with kindness. Spencer and Alex makes out in his restored Ford Mustang. So it's one of the old Ford Mustangs.
It's pretty.
Have the top. It's extremely pretty.
I want it. Would you drive me around in that? I'd look so good in that
absolutely.
car. Me and Herman would look so good in that car.
I'm not a car guy, but I always wanted one of those. I love the old Ford Mustangs. They're cool. But
there was a kid in my auto shop class that had a 69 Mustang. And
that's cool.
The teacher really liked it, and the teacher really liked me. And I don't know if the kid was great with cars, but I was. So I got to do things on it because, our teacher, Mr. Cogden, would be like, don't have the boys come over here yet. Why don't you ask Emily and Allison or one of the, there were 3 girls in that class.
Let's get some people that are more reliable.
And also aren't gonna hurt it.
Yeah.
If I was hesitant, I was gonna ask. Whereas other guys, the guys in the class would be like, let me pull out the miter saw or the sawzall.
Right.
You can't really pull out a miter saw.
And it's just they're gonna start going after it.
Yeah. And I'm like, no, it's pretty.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really nice car that he's in. To which makes me ask, where's Spencer getting I think Spencer's wrong about him not having money.
I think he's working class, and this is probably a family car.
Mm-hmm. They agree to meet up later, and then Spencer's mom walks out of the coffee shop with coffee, and Alex waves to her, and they wave back, and it's all nice there. So Spencer goes to meet up with her as Alex leaves. And Mrs. Hastings mentions that Ian's boxes were all delivered to the house while Ian and Melissa are on their honeymoon. Spencer wonders why her mom and dad aren't freaking out about the elopement. Mrs. Hastings said, it's ridiculous, but what can you do? It's it happened. Mrs. Hastings then receives a text from Melissa on her honeymoon, which seems to Spencer much more dingy and not upper scale than Melissa would usually go on for a honeymoon. And Spencer thinks it's weird, and her mom's like, don't be worried about it, it's fine. They then see Toby arrive at the courthouse across the street. And Spencer's kind of all freaked out about it. Mrs. Hastings says he's out on bail and probably just seeing his lawyer. Aria and Emily walk to school and see Maya. Maya and Emily discuss the dinner kind of awkwardly, and Aria's takes it as her cue to leave to allow them to discuss. As Aria goes to leave, she awkwardly sees Noel and waves at him scaredly. These 2 episodes of them all being on eggshells around every time they see Noel, she's like, no. And they look at him like scared shitless. Maya asks Emily if she's okay, and Emily says her parents are acting strange, like changing the channel when Ellen comes on, amongst a list of other things of them just acting awkward around her. And that she's like really worried about things and like the dinner coming up. Fitz teaches about Gatsby to the class as the bell rings. And friends all look at Aria awkwardly, as like Fitz is like moving throughout the classroom. But then they all leave Aria alone to collect Hannah's homework. Aria finally tells Fitz about Noel writing the message on the back of the car. Fitz asks who else knows, and Aria's like, nobody. Noel won't tell. Like, we discussed it. It's fine. And Fitz is like, are you sure about this? And Aria's like, he's probably known for a while, so he could have told people a long time ago. And like, he would have already said something, so it's all right. And then Aria's like, can I come over later? Emily and Spencer discuss the parent dinner. Spencer says, make sure you keep control of the conversation. Most Spencer answer possible. If Maya starts like trailing off on stuff, just take back control. Then Mona runs up to them and says, hey, we should have a surprise party for Hannah, and I'm organizing it for spleen removal. Emily's like, she didn't get her spleen removed. And Mona's like, sure, whatever. Spencer wonders if Hannah would actually want the party. And Mona's like, well, you don't have to go.
Love that. You know what, Mona? Party girl, babe.
Right. She's like, well, I don't care. Noel goes to see Fitz one-on-one about a paper he got a bad grade on. And Noel's like, hey, I think we both know that, like, I should have gotten a better grade. And Fitz stands up to get a threatening order, to which I responded, oh my God, they look the exact same goddamn age.
Which, we can dig into this, but spoiler alert, guess who's older?
No, by like a year. Oh,
they're around the same age, yeah.
But I mean, we're again, so there'd be like 6-year difference with the characters, like something like that, because this is 23.
This is my issue with having people in their 20s play teenagers. Is then I don't mind that as a concept because I really don't care. But then having people in their 20s playing 20-year-olds doesn't work because you can't see the age gap.
No.
And in your 20s, especially your early 20s, you still got the cheeks.
Totally.
And you can see it on them as they're both starting to lose their cheeks. So they're like in that like 23, 24 spot.
Right. So like in this scene too, when Fitz like stands up to him to try and like be threatening as like I'm the teacher here sort of thing. Do you know what you're doing? It kind of looks like Noel is picking on the preppy kid at school. And Noel threatens to bring the principal into things. Says he deserves a new grade and is like, I think I deserve this, and crosses out the C on the paper and writes an A.
What color does he write that A in?
In red. Interesting. Aria goes to see Fitz about meeting up later, and Fitz is like, hey, your friend Noel visited me and he threatened me. He's not who you think he is. Jenna then interrupts their conversation to have Fitz sign her absence card, and she kind of has like a knowing grin on her face. And Aria looks majorly uncomfortable.
Goes into fight, flight, or freeze mode.
Exactly.
All the girls just go straight to freeze when they see Jenna.
Totally. But also, like, it's really funny. Like, Jenna is obviously picking up on it, but like,
she's just a menace.
Exactly. But they're like extremely obvious. Like, Fitz and Aria. So it's like, well, yeah, of course. No wonder like Noel like picked up on it. Well, he's a good judge of character, as he says later. He picks up on things other don't. Spencer meets up with Alex, and Alex is looking over a pamphlet for a Swedish tennis clinic that one of the members said he should go to because all the people that attend there end up at the Swedish Open. Spencer's like, oh my God, you should totally go. Maybe I'll get like an internship over there.
Is it the Swedish Open or the Swiss Open?
Oh, was it Swiss?
I don't know.
I don't know tennis.
I don't know either.
So I know the 4 Grand Slams. There's U.S., French, Wimbledon, Australian.
Oh, okay.
Out of that, I don't know any of the minor tournaments.
That's all. I don't know. I was just like, I wonder.
Yeah. You could be right. It could have been Swiss.
No, I mean, I know nothing about. I've never even played tennis.
Right.
I was not that type of girl.
Alex will go somewhere and ostensibly hit a tennis ball back and forth.
Somewhere in Europe, maybe?
Exactly. It starts with an S.
A European country that does tennis.
Exactly. Alex is like, I'm not gonna go. Like, I promised my uncle I was gonna work for him this summer, and like, I don't want to go. And Spencer's like, why would you pass up on this opportunity? He's like, I would rather be here, like, working for my family and like saving for college. And Spencer's like, I don't understand.
Fair enough, girl.
Yeah. Maya is at the Fields house for dinner. And Pam brings out the food, and Maya's like, oh my God, I'm sorry, I can't eat seafood because I get hives. And Pam is like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Emily didn't mention anything. And
I have
Emily's
had so many parents react that way to my allergies. Like I'll be like, I can't eat that. And they'll act like I accuse them of stabbing me. Like they're like, well, I didn't. I'm like, that's like, it's cool. I'm just letting you know why I'm not eating it.
Yeah.
I'm not even asking for different food. Like I just am letting you know that it's not that I don't think you're a good cook. I have no idea, but like this has an Emily allergen in it.
Right.
People are weird about allergies, and I hate it because as someone who can like die,
yeah,
I would prefer if people were a little more normal about it.
It's really funny. True to life here. And Emily's like, oh, sorry, I must have forgot to mention something. And Maya's like, it's okay. Like, don't worry about it. Like, please sit down. She explains how, like, about her parents. Like, her parents had her first before they got married. And we're, like, not traditional that way. And then Emily's like, oh, why don't you, like, tell my parents about, like, how your dad proposed? And it's like, oh, he, like, proposed to her and they didn't have a ring. So he, like, used a Sharpie to draw a ring, like, around her finger. And that's the only ring she's ever had. As Pam looks like she wants to pull her hair out and scream. So then she gets up from the table. After she sees Maya and Emily playing footsies under the table, goes to the kitchen cabinet and cries silently.
Well, yeah, I never. It's so until a certain point in my life, I didn't think people like this were real.
It's very funny.
I thought this was all fiction. Like I was like, there's no real people like this, and then I was like, oh no, there are people that are even worse than this.
Oh yeah, definitely. Pam is sitting there just like, you two being gay is bad enough, but I will draw the line at being non-traditional. It's really funny. Okay, so Mona goes to hang at Hannah's and just wants to gossip. Oh wait, I see a shadow outside. What's that? And Hannah's like, don't open it. Gotta get away from there. As in the like only person has knowledge of like someone that's like stalking them and threatening them. And then Mona then opens up the door to let out in a surprise party led by Sean, and the party crew also includes Noel, much to Hannah freaking out.
Yeah, duh.
Yeah, the party rages. Rage of the century. Everybody drinking out of their plastic cups.
Also, why didn't the girls warn Hannah?
Right. Especially when like they're like, do you think
Aria
Hannah would even
know? But like, I mean, I guess she did. We assumed she did find out because she's at the party.
Right, yeah.
But like, we didn't.
Yeah, but she would probably be like, oh, their friend said something because they heard it first. But yeah, especially Spencer being like, do you think she even wants it? And then, okay, well, let's go along with it. The party rages as Lucas wanders around. And then Hannah stops Noel from looking in her cabinets and has a flashback of a party at her house, presumably a couple years ago, or a little over a year ago. A girl breaks up with Noel, and the friends are all standing in the hallway as Noel looks at Allie and says, happy now, and walks away. Aria asks what happened, and Allie's like, well, we broke him up. And then they like all the friends are like, what? We didn't do anything. Why would you do that? And Allie is like, I did this for Aria. It's like, I only kill when we need food or when I'm bored. Back to the present.
So like, I love like this like 14-year-old like absolute monster.
Yeah, it's tremendous.
Like strategic monster. And you're like, okay, she's smart.
Yes.
Like she's got a game.
Oh yeah. You can tell that she's like planning this stuff now. Like you get a better idea of like, okay, she's a manipulator. Lucas goes over to Hannah and just starts acting like a complete asshole. Anna asks if Lucas got her emails and things, and he just continues to act like an ass. Sean eventually walks up to ask Hannah about like finding a photo of them, and then Lucas continues to act like an ass, this time directed at Sean. The theme for the episode. Emily and Maya meet out in front of her house, and Emily's really excited about how well the dinner went. Maya's like, I'm so glad. And like, hey, is it okay if I just go home? I'm really tired. I was holding it together for both of us when you were freaking out over this dinner, so I'm just kind of spent. Pam,
I couldn't possibly relate to that.
No, never. I've never done that. What are you talking about? Couldn't be me. No.
Are you Emily?
No. Couldn't. No.
Spiraling.
Right. Narrator. He was.
Over very mundane.
Yeah, Ron Howard voice. Pan interrupts them, kissing and holding hands, and then Han is like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to," and hands Maya leftovers. Maya then hugs Pam as Pam is like, "Oh, okay, thank you for the hug." Alex and Spencer are at Hannah's party. Spencer asks, "Hey, Alex, do you want to like go away for the weekend to like a parent's cabin or another property?" And he's like, "Yeah." They continue to kiss until Spencer sees Noel out of like the side of her eye and stops. And Alex like, "Wait, what just happened?" And Spencer's like, "It's fine. I just need to go like bathroom upstairs." And Alex is like, "Well, okay, like I'll meet you outside." And it's like, "Okay, like see ya." And she's like staring down Noel as she heads upstairs. Aria arrives and tries to ream Noel about going after Fitz, and Noel's like, "What? I didn't say that. Well, I was just hoping for a better grade on my paper. I didn't threaten him. Oh my God, like, can you believe if I did that? I just thought I did good on that paper." And there's a direct quote from him says, "If that's the story, you really got to wonder who this guy is." And Aria's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Noel. Like, are you angry? Is this like about something else? Are you like angry at us?" Before they get interrupted. Emily goes to leave to the party and sees Toby across the street messing with his ankle monitor on his front porch. She walks over and asks Toby if Jenna had told him about Emily trying to reach out to him, and Toby's like, "No." And Emily's like, "Well, I never told the police, okay?" And Toby's asked what she's going to do tonight. She's like, "I'm going to Hannah's house for a party." And he's like, "Oh, that must be nice. I can barely leave my porch. Not that I was getting invited places anyway. Mostly I just get death threats." And Emily asks Toby if he believes her about not calling police. Toby says, "That's what I asked you before the cops picked me up, and I never got an answer either." Emily leaves as Toby like scowls and goes back to messing with his ankle monitor. Aria,
his ankle monitor.
Ankle monitor.
Yes, that one got me in the giggle.
I mean, you just got to make it fun when you have an ankle monitor.
I would have bedazzled it.
A kinkle monitor. Who knows?
Do you remember your neighbor with the ankle monitor?
Yes, I do. He would loudly
yell at his girlfriend.
Yes, loudly yell at his girlfriend at like 2 or 3 in the morning. He would also go out into the parking lot where, just right outside like our building, and bring a painter's bucket and just smoke cigarettes and fill it up.
I don't think he had a car, so I think he chain smoked cigarettes in his parking spot instead.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I saw him when I worked downtown, walking around downtown, and I was like, "Oh, he must not have his ankle monitor anymore." And when that's your first thought, you're like,
Yeah. Yeah, he was loudly yelling at her one night about his lighter.
Oh, she dropped his lighter, threw his lighter.
No, so she didn't want his lighter apparently because he kept asking, "Are you too good for my fucking lighter?"
Oh, that's what it was.
And then he threw his own lighter.
Yeah, and that's when we were like, okay, that's no longer, it goes from entertainment to domestic violence real quick. So we were always listening on edge.
Yeah. I think he stayed longer than we did. So,
I mean, they didn't.
I think he eventually had to quiet down after that one because I think he got like in trouble for it. Yeah, because he came to our door the day after and was like, "Can you like please not like say anything? Or I'm gonna get booted out, or at least like vouch for me." And it's just like we didn't say anything. Like, felt bad for the dude.
I mean, yes and no.
Totally. Like, he shouldn't be yelling at his girlfriend. Like, that's awful. But
yeah,
at the same time,
obviously
being on edge about like losing your house is scary.
Exactly.
Aria asks if Hannah if she can leave the party, and Hannah asks, I forgot about this quote. "Where are you going? Hot faculty party?" Aria looks bothered by this, and she's like, "Okay, Hannah, like I know like my relationship with Fitz bothers you." And Hannah's like, "Doesn't it seem like babysitting?" And And she's like, Aria, you should have told us about this a long time ago. Like, we're friends. Like, I can't believe you wouldn't confide in us. We wouldn't have said anything. And Aria's like, I couldn't like betray like Fitz's trust. And Hannah's like, well, you betrayed ours. Hell yeah. Internally cheering on this one. Spencer goes outside to...
I mean, yes, but no, but they weren't friends when it happened.
When it initially happened, no.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's been happening for a while.
Yeah, but are you gonna tell all your friends that you're dating the teacher? Would you have told your friends?
I mean, probably not. But I'm just saying, like, Hannah is just like, you gotta tell us these things.
Yeah, well, especially now where they are and what's happening.
Totally. Yeah, I understand. Like, that's kind of like above and beyond a lot of the other secrets.
But isn't Hannah not sharing things?
Yeah. But I still like it. Doesn't mean, she can be like wrong in other aspects, but right about this.
A little hypocritical.
Definitely a little bit. That's what makes it fun. Spencer goes outside to meet Alex, and Alex is like, I'm going to leave and go home. And he's like, you just couldn't resist. And she's like, what do you mean? And he's like, this email back from the tennis clinic that says I was accepted. And Spencer's like, I didn't like register you. And he's like, you don't have to like worry about this anymore. We're just two different people. And it's like, in so many words, it's just like, we're from different sides of the tracks. We have different like priorities in life, and that's okay. You just be you. And then walks off. And Spencer receives a text from A that says, point set match. Goodbye, Alex, forever? ? Probably. Sean tells a story to the party about skiing with Hannah. And then Lucas talks over Sean and acts like a dick some more. Sean loses his temper and goes to like go punch him, and Noel like jumps in front and goes to stop him and says something along the lines of like, this is like fighting a make a wish kid. He uses the different like terminology, but pretty much it's like like the kid at the hospital or something. Hannah then is like, Lucas, talk outside. And they go to talk outside. You're making a girl in a wheelchair that it's her party. Go outside, Lucas. But he's not in his right mind. Hannah asks him why he's here. Are you just trying to punish me? And he's like, not everything's about you.
But like the party I'm attending at your house probably is.
And all my anger has been directed toward you and your boyfriend. Hannah's like, I just want to be friends. And Lucas is like, you're no different like from everybody else that just pushes me around. You're no different from Allison's anointed. And considering what like Allison did to me, I should have done way worse to her. And Hannah's like, what did you do? What happened? And then Lucas fesses up to destroying the memorial. Ding, point win column for me. Hannah,
is that your first so far?
I've had a couple others. Small wins. Doing the podcast every week, that's a win.
I meant in predicting the plot, but I do like this roses and thorns aspect we're going with.
The other win that I remember was guessing how many episodes it'd take Toby to come back.
Yes.
Hannah says, I won't call the cops. I'm not going to say anything. And Lucas is like, don't you do that. Don't you make me like you, and walks off. Sean comes out heated and is like, Hannah, you shouldn't be alone with that guy. He's like crazy. And Hannah's like, Hannah asks like, hey, what do you know about Noel? Like, isn't like, do you actually know him? And Sean's like, I see. You're just trying to come after my friends now.
Does anybody truly know their friend?
Exactly. And then Hannah's like, but do you actually know him? Who is Noel Kahn? Like, away from you. And he's like, okay, you're starting to freak me out. Like, and Hannah's like, everyone just needs to go home. Get out of here. Shoo, scram. Spencer looks sad, and Aria says, hey, you should call Alex. And Spencer's like, well, I can't tell Alex about A. And then alludes to A being Noel. I can't tell Alex about A. I can't tell Alex about Noel, I think is like how that goes. Aria says, we don't know that Noel is A, and what does A even want? Good question.
Great question. What does A want?
I know. I would like to, actually, not this episode, but
after the next one.
Yeah, we'll go through my string and my corkboard. Aria asks Spencer what they're prepared to do if they find out who A is. As Spencer cocks a gun. Toby continues to mess with his ankle monitor as Jenna comes out. Toby asks Jenna about Emily reaching out. Jenna's like, I wouldn't, like, she, like, I wasn't going to tell you, like, sort of thing. And Toby's like, and Jenna tells Toby that she turned him in. Because if he's running around like a fugitive, how can he prove he's innocent? As she then brushes his face, like, you're home safe now. Toby's like, I won't touch you like that again. And Jenna slaps him and storms off. Hannah cleans up after the party. It's such a high school thing to leave the girl whose party that she didn't want to have at her house, who's in a wheelchair, to then clean up. And here's a door slam at her house. Hannah hears someone running around upstairs and run back to the kitchen, turns off the light to like get prepared about like if something might happen. Hannah gets scared, and then Ashley walks in and turns on the light. Ashley's like, what happened here? Did you have a party? And then like goes up into the cabinet to look for the money and finds out it is gone. Emily arrives home and sees her mom. And Pam then tells Emily that, hey, Wayne is wanted in Texas by his commander at the end of the month. So he's going to have to leave soon. It's not up to us. Emily then thanks her mom for the nice dinner, and Pam says, you know what? I'm not okay with your relationship, and it makes me sick.
Pam, masterclass on homophobia.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And
bad parenting.
Exactly. And
being a shitty person.
Totally. Yep. Two-faced. And emotionally dumping on her daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Spencer comes home and sees her dad. They both talk about Ian, how about they don't like Ian, and Ian's stuff being everywhere, and blah, blah, blah. We don't like this guy. Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Hastings then says he spoke to a friend of the police force and said, hey, the blood found on Toby's sweater was Allison's. So, you shouldn't have to worry about this case going on any longer. And Spencer doesn't really look relieved. And as her dad goes back up to bed, Spencer sees Ian's golf club bag with a tag from the country club at Hilton Head.
Mm-hmm.
She then has a flashback as the friends all gather as Allie arrives back from vacation out of a taxi cab. Sorry, I accidentally hit a button here. From vacation in a taxi cab, the day they're greeting her back on, this is the day that she goes missing.
Mm-hmm.
And Spencer notices the tag on one of her bags and is like, hey, this is from Hilton Head. Weren't you visiting your grandma, and doesn't she live in Georgia? And Allison's just like, well, it's all the South, whatever. Like, why would the third degree? And it's like, come on, let's just get out of here. Hannah asks if she should ask Sean about the money and see if anybody saw anything to her mom. And Ashley tells her not to talk about it, and I don't want to talk to you, so shush. Then probes her daughter about pain meds and hey, will any of those help me sleep? And Hannah hands her mom a pain med. Hannah opens up one of the prescription bottles and finds a note from A, along with a stack of cash that says, you'll get your dollars back if you do what I say. Sweet dreams. We then see a gloved hand inserting money into a clown piggy bank. The end.
The end. So first of all, Humpty Dumpty was pushed. Yes or no?
Yes, he was. And he had a great fall.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, no, I'm glad they had the sticker, raising awareness. Yeah.
What happened to Humpty should happen to no one else.
Exactly. We need to draw the line at Humpty.
So I will take you down a trip down memory lane to Hot Topic. Okay. Do you remember all of this Happy Bunny stickers?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's very of that time. Or Emily the Strange, or, it's just another great sticker moment. I feel like I had a lot of stickers at that point in time. Maybe a couple years before
like that.
Yeah, and you'd stick them on your binder. I also had Jesus stickers because I worked at an ice cream shop, and the Bikers for Jesus would come in, and they would leave really good tips. So no complaints here.
Right.
And they were very nice. They prayed over their ice cream. They didn't make me pray. I didn't care. They'd invite, and you're like, I got other tables.
Oh, thank you so much. But
unfortunately, it's busy in here.
Yeah, there's an order up.
Yeah, and ice cream melts. God can wait. I'm surprised they tipped me. No. But they would leave me these Bikers for Jesus stickers.
That's
or
so
Jesus
fun.
saves that had motorcycles on them, and they were yellow stickers. And I used to stick them all over my binders because I thought they were so funny and ironic.
That was really fun. Yeah.
I think
seems like the harmless sort of Jesus club.
Yeah. I mean, they rode motorcycles and they read the Bible.
There you go.
It seemed nice. They left good tips, and that's what I cared
exactly.
about.
You know what? As long as if they're tipping well,
people were always afraid. I'd get them. I'd get the regular bikers, and I'd get the big group of Santas every year, and I loved it. Big groups were my jam because as long as you remember what people ordered, and even if you don't, someone at that table always knows.
Right? Exactly. It'd be actually, that's Tom's. Pass it down to Tom.
You find the Mrs. Claus who paid attention. You keep eye contact with her.
Yeah, that's smart. And there's a Mrs. Claus in all those groups.
There is. I mean, way, shape, or form. Yes. But yeah, I was just thinking about all of my stickers.
Mm-hmm.
Stickers. Were you a sticker kid?
Yes, I had lots of stickers on binders.
Mm-hmm.
Skateboard stickers, like I remember.
Cool.
Yeah, I guess so. There was is it World Industries that was they had like little like cartoon figures. It was like a flame or a water droplet, and it was like spy versus spy. So it was like, oh, they're trying to get each other. So it'd be, like, for various violence kind of things. But you could also just get like, here's a flame sticker of the character, and then they also made, I think, little tech deck versions of them, of like the characters. But like I had stickers of those because it was like, oh my god, look at it's skateboarding and like cute characters, like love this.
Mm-hmm.
And then like I think probably just other like nerd stickers, probably like Dragon Ball Z or something. I'm trying to remember some of those. Yeah.
It's very cool. I like it.
Thank you.
I would, and then you have your pictures of your friends on your binder.
I did not.
Mm-hmm. That was a boy.
Well, my
thing,
friends
huh?
were, unless you're talking about Goku and Gohan and Piccolo.
What about Vegeta?
Oh yes, of course, Vegeta. Well, I don't know if I had a Vegeta sticker, but you know, he was a friend.
Okay, so just stickers. Maybe we need some A stickers. We need Pretty Little Liars stickers.
There you go.
Should we
A
make
stickers.
Pretty Little Liars stickers?
Perfect. Yeah, let's do it. I don't know how to do that.
Me neither, but you know what? I've done a lot of things I didn't know how to do.
Right.
I can do anything if I try.
Stay tuned for stickers.
Yeah.
Or if you want stickers, let us know.
It's just
so we don't go down this.
I just write an A.
Exactly. It'll be in Noel's handwriting.
It'll be an A in Noel's handwriting on you know the labels you can print for letters.
No. Uh-huh. And wait, you could put it on your papers at home.
You too can edit your grade.
Exactly. You too can threaten your teacher.
Ask us how. So also looking at A's text, I did see there was, in one of them, it was like XOA, but in another one, it was just -- A. And I was like, do we think A is Gen X?
Mm-hmm. So then are they an adult?
Are they an adult?
Yeah, it's something that I mulled around in my mind, but I just, I mean, we'll get to more of this later, but so I was like thinking things over of like, damn, I got nothing to connect them.
Mm-hmm.
I got no evidence.
Yeah, like it's like, oh, it's one of the parents, but then it's like, why?
Right, exactly. Because yeah, that's what I'm.
That's the only adults we know.
Exactly, trying to think through out of all the information we know who it could possibly be, but we got nothing on the adults.
No, I mean except for Byron.
Yes,
but not like. I mean, that's a lot of work.
Yeah, but why exactly? Why would he do it?
I don't know. Why would he do it?
Exactly.
Okay.
Well,
yeah.
We're not counting Fitz among the adults, right?
No.
Okay, cool.
No.
I'm not.
Speaking of Melissa's honeymoon, where should we go on ours?
Oh. It sounded like she didn't go too far.
They went to a mall?
Uh-huh. Yeah, it was like, it looked like
Mall
a mall.
America?
Yeah, like a mall food court. Yeah, they could have gone to the Mall of America.
I've never been to the Mall of America.
I haven't either. That's in Minnesota?
I don't know. I've never been.
Crap.
I have never been east of Las Vegas.
Well, it's like huge, but it sounded more dingy according to this one. But yeah, I don't know. Where should we go? I always wondered.
Let us know in the comments if you have any ideas for where we should go on our honeymoon.
Maybe
continental U.S., depending on COVID.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if COVID's let up, why it would be fun, but you know.
It would, but
you know, it's not the time now.
No.
Don't go to Hawaii.
No.
They're like literally asking people don't go. Yeah, we could do Europe.
We could.
European vacation. That'd be fun.
We could. I've always wanted to ride the Flying Scotsman.
Yeah.
Because I love trains.
And then we can meet up with Frances.
We could.
Okay. So I don't know any of her music, but I know who she is. Rosalia.
Okay.
A pop singer.
Okay.
He did like some collaborative like TikTok where he was like at a station somewhere and he's like, oh, I'm here to see this, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, wait a minute. Is that Rosalia? Hi, Rosalia. And she's like, hi. And then they like watched the train together and they wave off. It was really cute.
That's so cute. If you don't know, Francis is a man who has a TikTok channel where he is just in the UK and watches trains and like talks about them.
Yeah. And it also wears a GoPro.
So you can like watch him enjoy the train. And then, it's so great.
It's great. Was it Francis Bourgeois or something on TikTok? Yeah.
It's great. It's a 10 out of 10. Highly recommend if you need just to watch someone do something they love.
Yeah.
Like it just fills you with
infectious.
Joy.
Yeah.
Well, Francis might be able to suggest some good honeymoon spots for us then maybe. Somebody could take via train.
I did see a producer, DJ I follow, who was touring. It was like, I need to spend more time in Scotland. Like, I love it here.
I love the idea of Scotland. I've never been. Perfect. Cool. Okay. Well, so other thing we'll need to consider on our train journey is allergies.
Yes.
Pam's reaction to Maya not being able to eat the shrimp is like, she's like, I don't even know where to put the plate. And I'm like, on the large table.
She's so, just like tightly wound because like she's trying to like muscle through feeling good about this and is just hating every single second of it. So then, like I brought up, it was just like Maya's parents are non-traditional. Like, it's like this, you could feel the weight just like bearing down on Pam as Pam just wants to like fold in half. And eventually she does.
Do you think
quietly.
I have the Maya impact on people? Like on really tightly wound parents?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Potentially. But yes, it's
I saw a little of myself in that scene.
There you go. Just not playing with, or like, I'm gonna be myself. Like,
yeah. Or like, I'm gonna have a good time, and then I don't. This person is not having a good time. Okay. The Noel Ezra scene, we talked about it a little. They're about the same age when they filmed this, and like it's so glaringly obvious when it's just the two of them.
Totally, and especially when like Fitz is trying to do
big English teacher vibes.
Exactly, of trying to be like, do you know what you're doing right now? And then it's just like, oh, but this looks like a peer who's threatening you, which yeah. Which of course is then begs the question, of course, like seeing on like the viewership between like Aria's two relationships so far, and you're just kind of like, oh, well, like no wonder you're thinking uncritically about it because they look the exact same age. Like I'd never picked up on that, like how close in age they look until they're facing across each other from the camera. I'm like, oh my god.
Which is why
like,
when she's alone with Fitz, you don't think about it.
Yeah, not as much. Well, except when the dialogue starts and it calls attention to it.
Which I think they have to do because if not, you're like...
Right. It makes me wonder, like, why... Well, I guess because Noel probably came in later and... Yeah, I don't really know. He's supposed to be young anyway, so I think you're supposed to like Fitz is. So you're supposed to like kind of like roll along with it and be all right with it. But
speaking of age, I did a little Google search last week, and I was like, I wonder what the age of consent is in Pennsylvania, which it is 16, which I believe in most places it is, but then the way it was written made it sound like it was 16 for like any like, whereas like I'm pretty sure in California, like, don't quote me, I'm not a legal expert, I could be very wrong, please feel free to correct me in the comments if you actually know this stuff, but like if you're 16 you have it's if it's still the age of consent in California, I think 18
isn't it?
I don't remember, but like in theory then it would be like peers your own age we're okay with, but no one over 18. Does that make sense? And so in Pennsylvania it seems like it was just like, anyone, as long as you're over 16, it's fine.
Yeah, but they did
unless there's a power dynamic.
Exactly.
Like a student teacher.
It was like, oh, and then that age moves down, and then so like, yeah, if there's like some sort of authority to it, which then retroactively for the last episode, this doesn't make it okay. Like we're still firmly in the camp that this is a bad relationship and like predatory, but. It makes sense that Fitz's plan is I'm going to move to a different school so we can have a relationship because then it's legally okay.
It is 18 in California, though. That is good to know.
Yeah.
That's comforting.
Yeah. That's what I was always told, like, growing up. So, like, I assumed that was the case. But, yeah. So that's why Fitz had a plan of transferring to another school because then they could date.
Mm-hmm.
Which, still gross. No. That's like... No, like that's too young.
Yeah, you can see which ones are 16, which ones are 17, and which ones are 18. In 31 states, the age of consent is 16. Ugh. This is also Wikipedia, so once again, check yourself, check your local law.
Right. Yeah.
And maybe just don't. Mm-hmm. Maybe just don't.
Well, I mean... Yeah.
And then there's some states that have more of like an age gap where it's like, it's okay as long as the age gap is less than 2 years or 3 years or whatever.
Oh, right. So it would be like, is it high school to college or something like that? Or
yeah, like let's say like, it's like an 18 or a 17 and a 19-year-old. You know what I mean? Like there's certain windows. But yeah, I'd seen that and I was like, that explains his plan.
Right. So Fizz's plan does make legal sense. Even if we're against it, still.
Yes, it's still not cool.
No, still predatory.
Yeah, it's creepy no matter what the law says.
Yeah.
It's bad. It's all bad. Just because it's legal doesn't mean it's good.
No.
So that I just thought that would be a good place to stick that little tidbit of information in because you were mind boggled at that information.
Yeah, completely. It was just like, oh, so like Fitz does have a legal leg to stand on if he moves schools.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's talk about fight, flight, or freeze. The Jenna effect.
Oh man. Yeah.
Aria's face in that scene is like the best of the freezes we've seen thus far, I think.
Right.
Like
just absolutely jaw hitting the floor of like, oh shit.
She's just like, oh god, Jenna's here.
Yeah, Jenna might know. Uh-huh. And I think Aria's like, she doesn't know. She doesn't know. She doesn't know.
But how did they not hear
right?
Jenna coming?
Oh, right. Clack, clack,
yeah.
clack.
In the past, we've heard Jenna coming.
Right. But they're just super obvious. They're like, of course, like when Aria's like, well, I think he's known for a while because he's walked in on us multiple times. To Noel.
Yeah.
So that's really funny. They're really bad at keeping their secret. And then it's also like, well, you know, we met up in downtown and called the town to like officially watch us like figure out who rode on the back of your car. They call attention to themselves. It's really funny.
Yeah. And then Noel Baby, our gaslighting king.
Absolutely. Yep.
Prince of gaslighting.
I was not expecting that sort of turn this week. I thought he was gonna, when he had that like standoff with Fitz about like changing the grade on his paper, it's like much more self-serving than I thought he'd be, because I thought like following him in like the school last time, it's like, oh, he's trying to like white knight sort of thing. So he's gonna do it by like threatening the teacher because Aria doesn't want to get rid of it. It's like, oh no, he's just like gaining leverage for his own gains.
Well,
I wasn't expecting that.
I also wonder too if it's like a way to see what he can get away with. Like, if I can push this here, what else can I do with this information?
What else? Yeah, exactly. What else can I make like Fitz do? I can just like get through school.
So that's
yeah.
fun.
He's like, I have this information, so I'm gonna like use it for my own gains.
What about poor baby Toby?
Oh, Tobias back into the fire. Messing with his ankle monitor, which like. He looks very like suspicious doing it, but I think he's
like hanging out on his porch with a screwdriver.
So I thought that might be like, oh, he's gonna like try and like break out and go somewhere, but nope, that's not really the case. But yeah, poor Toby is just like stuck at home with his predatory stepsister.
Yeah, he just wants to be able to take it off so he can leave.
Yeah, he wants to get away from her because she's coming up and like brushing his face and being like, "You're all mine now."
Yeah, it's creepy.
It's bad. It's bad news for Toby. And I also just don't like it for Jenna's character again, because it'd be so much better if we didn't have this part where she's like threatening Toby, and we just had the parts where she's standing in the doorway seeing Aria and Fitz.
Yeah, she's just creepy Jenna.
Exactly.
Not creepy Jenna.
Exactly. Not like not like Predator Jenna. Just like and just all that tied up with women faking rape and
yeah, it's just bad,
all bad news. But Toby's, I like that he's just like that he doesn't at least he's still got that anger towards like Emily because it's misplaced, and he like softens on it, but he's not like at least like able to be like, you know,
well, but she also
himself.
Didn't believe him, and he really needed her to believe him, and so he's like, well, how does it feel?
Yeah, exactly. I need
like
you
she
to
could have
believe
said,
me.
"I believed you," in that moment, and she didn't.
Yeah, you're right. I really feel for Toby again. He's oh boy, and next episode too. It's brutal. Poor Toby.
Yeah, I can't wait to get your thoughts on the Spencer watching him.
Yeah.
Like what does that mean?
Exactly. But yes, really feel for Toby.
Okay, next on my list is Alex and Spencer.
Oh,
is Alex gone for good?
I think Alex is gone for good.
That was a nice little arc, wasn't it?
It was.
Didn't you enjoy him?
And it's such a funny way to have wrapped that up of like, we're two different people because we're from two different backgrounds, and like you won't understand like working hard and with your family. You just want to like go and do these selfish things for yourself, like go like on these tennis excursions. I mean, it sounds like a cool camp.
Sounds cool.
But like, you know, it wraps it up really quickly that like, oh, Alex was also feeling those things, but we hadn't really like gotten that before, that he felt weird about like their
like that
different
he was more community focused and she was more personal identity focused.
Right. And he we hadn't gotten his side of like that he was also feeling weird about that, because we had so much of Spencer feeling weird about that.
Which I also wonder if that's because Spencer felt
standings.
weird about it, that then that's why he felt weird about it. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
potentially self-fulfilling prophecy.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, just it's a funny way of wrapping that up, that it's like over a tennis camp, and that A is like, ha, I did it, bye-bye. Sucks to suck. So yeah, I and Spencer being like, well, I can't tell him because I'm really good at keeping secrets, and like, you know, I'm not going to tell him about A. So like, yeah, that leaves probably just adios.
Lucas, memorial destruction.
Oh yeah. I was like, yep, this has got to be Lucas, because he's like
Got dirty shoes.
exactly, the dirty shoes, and had suffered years of abuse from Jenna. It alludes that it was, oh sorry, Jenna, I'm sorry to, you know, you've done other things, but not this.
You don't drag her name into this.
Exactly.
She drags her name other places.
Exactly. So that like Allison had like abused him so much, or bullied him so much. So I was like, yeah, like this totally lines up. And, you know, I knew it was going to come out to Hannah, but I thought it'd be more of a big deal to her, but she's just like feeling so sorry for him. And he just wants to be angry towards her and just have as much hate in his heart toward Hannah because he likes her and she doesn't like him back in that way. So he's like, I need to make you an enemy to me now, so I can like feel justified of like not hanging out with you. Rather, you know, because he doesn't have obviously the skills yet to be like, here's a boundary, and like I just can't be friends with you because I have these feelings. So instead he's got to be like passive aggressive about it. Well, very loudly passive aggressive about it. So he just like acts a dick. So it's just like it's like tough to watch because he's just being an asshole, and Hannah's like trying to be nice as possible.
How do we feel, speaking of the party, about Mona throwing this party and Mona in general?
Yeah, I mean, completely selfish, so I love it. Bad friend, but Mona's like, well, you're back, so like we have to be like the party of the century, and doesn't even know like what the hell is wrong with like Hannah. And this probably started her own rumor that Hannah's spleen got taken out completely by accident. So awful. It's an awful idea. She doesn't even ask her friend what her friend wants. It's good stuff.
What are your thoughts on Mona just in general?
Oh yeah, I like Mona's intentional selfishness and shittiness.
Chaotic.
Yes. It's fun.
Pam's a monster. Period. I don't really think we need to go further than that.
No. Absolute worst. Just makes everything awful. And actually, yeah. Next episode.
Okay, and then let's do a quick lie check-in. What are our lies right now?
Oh yeah.
2 truths and a lie.
Aria
is just hiding Fitz from her parents, but you know.
Yeah.
The general pop.
Oh yeah. Is that next episode? That there's because I didn't remember talking about it in my recap, that there's the Byron thing about like, because Mike's not even in this episode. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's the next one.
Okay, so why did the DVD have the deleted scene? Okay, we'll get to that. Yeah, maybe just keeping Fitz from her parents, but in terms of her friends, I don't think there's anything else. Hannah, the money, and also receiving that A note. Spencer, I don't think anything. I think she's in the clear too. And then Emily. Her relationship with Toby, of like being like friendly with Toby, and like still, you know, being friendly with him and wanting to be a good person to him.
There we go. All right. Anyone we missed recapping? Melissa.
And Ian, yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
But they weren't really in it.
Oh no, that's next episode, right?
Mm-hmm. We just know Ian's bag.
Yes. Yeah. Big news. That the characters now start to suspect about Ian. That something could be off. And Spencer, of course, her memory of course, she's going to remember a tag and like feeling
a golf club too, because she felt lied to.
Yes, exactly.
She knows what Hilton Head is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that like there was already that suspicious thing with Allie on the day that Allie disappeared. So yeah, plot thickens there, which is a good time.
Yeah.
And that Spencer's finding out. Yeah, let's see. Anything else? I think that's kind of it for me. Is there anything else?
Nope, I think that's it. We've recapped all our friends and our lies, and we can move into episode 13.
Okay.
Want to take a quick pause?
Let's do it. Episode 13, Know Your Frenemies. In the middle of the night, Spencer hears whispering downstairs and slowly creeps down the stairs and sees Ian and Melissa are back. She tries to continues sneaking down until one of the steps squeaks, and so she runs back up silently. Melissa wonders who's there, and Ian said, no one could have heard us.
There's a bold claim to make in a house with other people.
Yeah, very much so.
No one could have heard us in this house filled with other humans.
Mm-hmm. Spencer then sneaks back into her room and gets an email from A that says, married for love or an alibi. The next morning, Spencer goes back downstairs and pours herself coffee when Ian rounds the corner and surprises her. Ian asks if she heard them arrive back last night, and Spencer's like, no, I didn't hear you guys come home at all. This is the first time I'm seeing you. Ian says, hey, we're family now, so I hope you think of me as that. Spencer asks, hey, have you ever played at Hilton Head? Allison went there for a tournament about over a year ago with her grandmother, and she came back and disappeared that same night. Do you happen to know? How did you like the course? And Ian's like, it's been a few years, but I liked it. Aria's family has breakfast. Byron says that he had dinner with Ella, and that Ella then informed him that she's seeing other people. Mike gets pissed that he's okay with that, calls him a hypocrite, and leaves. His family. Spencer then uses a southern voice on her phone to call Hilton Head and ask about Ian's reservation from a year ago. Spencer and Emily ask what she's doing, and Spencer explains this and says that, I'm thinking that Ian and Allie went away together. And it's like, why would she lie about that? And Emily says, Allison lied more than she breathed. But is that enough motivation for Ian to kill her? Spencer says, aren't you happy I'm just not talking about Toby? Can we acknowledge that for a second? Emily's like, oh my God, it's not Toby. Agent Cooper steps out of the coffee shop that they're drinking coffee out in front of, and they say hello. Ashley drops off Hannah down the street, and before Hannah gets out of the car, Hannah talks about how she's feeling guilty. Ashley's like, they're not completely broke. The remainder of the cash was for investing, and then out of those investments, I could then pay back the money. And Hannah asks, hey, if the money that you stole, is that a felony? And Ashley's like, only if I get caught. Hannah then steps out of the car. She's miraculously healed from her injuries, no more wheelchair, and walks over to Emily and Spencer for coffee. Agent Cooper is still talking to him and says, hey, I'm going to miss the town. And Spencer's like, why is that? And it's like, well, since Toby's locked up, my case is done for. So he's maybe out on bail right now, but we've got the blood sample on his jacket. So it's probably all done. And walks off. Emily asks her that, because then Spencer hangs up on the phone and got confirmation from Hilton Head that Ian was there over the weekend before Allison disappeared. The friends then all discuss telling Cooper about Ian, and Hannah. I lost my train of thought there, and Hannah dismisses the idea. They all agree that, because they all talk about the tree and that nobody else knows about it. I wonder if A is trying to help them find the killer, and they all look at Noel awkwardly, but then they see Mike walk up to Noel and talk, and Emily's like, hey, are they friends? And Aria's like, no. Spencer's like, hey, back to the point. We need to find proof. And Hannah's like, says, thank you, Veronica Mars.
Which we were very excited about, because if you've been here from the beginning, you know this podcast started as a Veronica Mars rewatch podcast.
Then that also means that Veronica Mars exists in this universe.
Which also means that our podcast is in this universe. Which then does that make our podcast a true crime podcast in the Pretty Little Liars universe?
Or is it a recap podcast of a true crime series?
Wouldn't that still be a true crime podcast?
I feel like true... yes, it would. In a roundabout way. You're correct.
But take the back alley.
Oh, saw Toby crying. Emily says, Spencer, we should check the boxes in your kitchen. Maya arrives and greets Emily, and they discuss her coming over later and studying. And Hannah's like, hey, is studying, is that lesbian for making out?
No, she says girl on girl, because what I've noticed in the show is that we never say the word lesbian.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
No one's a lesbian. You're just like, why? Why are we afraid of lesbian?
Yeah, I'm curious about that too. Because I understand, like, the saying they're gay, but like, yeah, why is it never specifically said lesbian? I don't know.
Maybe that's just not how she identifies, but
oh yeah, that's true. They both laugh and they say, lesbians are just like you straight girls, and then they both laugh again, knowing that they aren't and are doing much better than the rest of them.
Look at our healthy relationship.
Exactly, yeah.
Have you noticed how Maya's not a teacher at the school?
No hot faculty parties for her.
No hot faculty parties for Maya. That is correct.
My favorite line from these episodes. Although Veronica Mars one was also good. We then cut to the classroom as Fitz is writing on the chalkboard as Noel sneaks in behind him and smiles creepily. Terrifying. Noel says he heard from Aria that there must be a misunderstanding for what I asked you for, from earlier, and that's strange. Noel then's like, hey, I wrote up a new paper for you. I think you'll find this one's much better. And Fitz looks at it and he's like, you just reprinted your paper, asshole. And Noel's like, I came to you before wanting a higher grade. Now I need it because without that grade, I'm not going to be able to play for the football team. So you're going to have to change that.
If Noel is A, he is a very busy boy.
He's not. We'll get to that later. And the next class starts walking in, and one of them is Noel's teammates, and they both start to talk, and they talk about Aria, in reference. They all both reference Aria, and the teammate asks Noel if him and her are still hooking up, and he's like, actually, Aria prefers older guys, and Fitz is like, all right, just give me the goddamn paper. Hannah opens up her locker and finds a $100 bill taped to the mirror, with a note from A that says, go to 21st Main Street. Ask for Hefty Hannah's order. Hannah hides the bill as Aria arrives, and Aria asks her coffee, and then Hannah's like, no, I gotta do other things. I gotta go to physical therapy. Emily then walks up to him and says, hey, did you hear about Toby? Toby's coming back. And Toby is then brought in, escorted by police, and he arrives to his locker with a red, note scribbled on it's scribbled in a red Sharpie or something on his locker that says killer. And he then gets escorted down the hall some more. Some random kid steps in front of him and goes murderer before the police make a move. Hannah goes to the bakery, picks up her order, and gets a text from A that says, want the money? Sit there and eat every one. Hannah takes the box over to the car and sees Noel get out of a car down the street. She then sits down and opens up the box, and it's a bunch of pig cupcakes.
6 pig cupcakes.
Yeah.
It's not nice. We're hazing now.
Yeah, Hannah eats the cupcakes as football players sit down next to her and start oinking at her.
Which is a bold move because I would have smashed them with cupcakes.
Yeah. And I wouldn't put it past Hannah to do either, but this is a very specific pressure point. As they oink at her. Hannah then has a flashback. She's at her house in a completely different size fat suit from before, with an empty pie plate in front of her as the doorbell rings. She goes to try and hide it as Allie walks in. And Allie's like, hey, I understand, and embraces Hannah as Hannah cries. Allie says she doesn't have to feel this way, and she can show her how to get rid of it.
Yeah, this is where we head into after school specials / not done well
Yeah.
It's
No.
not like it's like, oh, let's talk about the importance. Actually, there's studies proven, obviously we trigger warned this, but like when I took a nutrition class, the teacher informed us, she's like, if I talk to you about eating disorders, it is statistically more likely to give you one than to prevent you from having one. And I was like, this is something they taught in my lecture. I don't know what study she was citing, but I was like, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Like, there's no good way to talk about it. And like, if you're trying to educate people on like how to not have that kind of relationship with food, you often end up triggering a negative relationship with food.
Right.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah. That's
We are
completely
so
wild.
broken.
Yeah.
Like as a society, not individuals.
Totally. Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I was like, let me fix that.
Uh-huh. That's really messed up.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry. Back to the bulimia plot point.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. Pam hears Emily and Maya in Emily's room laughing, and she walks over and sees the door cracked and sees their feet. So then she opens up the door screaming. And Pam's like, I can't live like this. I don't know where you're hanging out was headed. And Maya directly calls her Pam and says, hey, we're just studying. Pam's like, that's Mrs. Fields to you. Like the cookie. Maya then leaves as Emily's apologetic. Maya's like, you did nothing wrong. And leaves. And Emily says to Pam that for the first time, she's ashamed that she's her mother. Hannah finishes the cupcakes as Aria walks by and sees her and walks over to her to see how she's doing. Hannah then receives a text that says, you know how to get rid of it. Receives a text, and then Aria walks over, dismisses the football players from oinking at her, and Hannah says she can't really talk to Aria about what's going on. And then tells Aria about Allie being nice to her after a binge eating episode, and Allison taught Hannah how to be bulimic. And Aria's like, hey, that's really dangerous. And Hannah's like, I've gotten better, like blah, blah, blah. Like it was just a really dark point. And Aria's like, I know you're better than that. Hannah then goes into the bathroom and cleans up and sees the doll, so shuts the door really angry. She then grabs a paper towel and sees oink oink written on one of them. So then she pulls down another one, all pissed, and then finds multiple 100s attached to like 3 or 4 of the sheets. Pam is in Emily's room digging through her stuff, as normal parents do. She then sees Maya's backpack and empties it out, starts rummaging through it, and opens up an Altoids box that has weed in it. Fitz is looking over a paper when Noel walks in and asks for his. Fitz then hands Noel's paper back to him with a C. Noel's like, do you know what this means? As Fitz goes to walk away and then grabs him. He's like, hey, I'm talking to you. And Fitz like, I know exactly what it means. Spencer is on a run and sees Toby downtown as people verbally accost him. Kids run screaming from him. And Toby then escapes to a dumpsters behind the building and to go hide. Spencer then runs across the street to try and kind of see what else is happening. And she sees him cry sadly behind a dumpster.
What do you take from that?
Feeling bad about making fun of him or from targeting him, aren't you, Spencer? Well, you should. It looks like it. Yeah, it looks like she's like, damn, all right. Maybe I was rude. This gentle soul, this who's being treated like a monster in our town.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like so over. I mean, this show's over the top. So this isn't a point against it, but it's great of just like people being like, "Hey, murderer!" and then the kid's like, "Ah."
Mm-hmm.
Pam walks into Emily's room to talk. Tells her that she returned Maya's backpack to her parents and asks, "Hey, Emily, are you doing drugs with her?" Emily gets pissed. It's like, "No, I'm not." And Pam's like, "You can't see her anymore." And Emily's like, "That's not going to change anything." And she's like, "Well, you can't tell your dad anything. He's just as disappointed in you as I am."
Which is like wild because it's like, I don't know. I was raised by parents that pretended to trust me at least.
Right.
If they didn't. And so I'm like, I can't imagine that.
This micromanaging.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And also on top of that, the homophobic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said, they're like a few short days away from sending her to a conversion camp.
Mm-hmm. Nope, we send Maya to camp instead.
Oh God, yeah, to juvie camp.
For having an Altoid container of weed. Can
But
you even?
it's-
I don't even know there was enough weed. Is it even weed or was it oregano?
Right, exactly. But like, yeah, just horror stories of like kids being sent to camps for weed.
Mm-hmm.
Awful.
Or being sent to the camps in general.
Yes.
I watched Paris Hilton's thing about
Oh,
it.
right. Uh-huh.
Scary stuff.
Arya then asked Mike about him talking to Noel. And Mike's like, we were just hanging out. And she's like, are you friends? And he's like, yeah, we've been hanging out for a little. And she's like, how long has this been going on? And he's just like, I don't know, a while. And Arya asks, hey, has Noel told you anything? Have you told Noel anything about like our parents or anything? And it's like, he's not who you think he is. Mike's like, it's fine. Noel just was telling me a rumor about like that, like, one of the teacher you like so much, Fitz, is like hooking up with one of his students, and like Noel's like feeling really bad about it, but he's gonna tell the principal tomorrow. And Byron walks up, he's like, that can't be true, no worries. Arya, have you heard any of this ridiculous rumor? And Arya's like, I screwed up, as they all like look at her, and she's like, I need to go hang with Spencer and study, goodbye.
Yeah, I forgot we're supposed to be studying for midterm. She's gonna kill me.
Fitz looks unshaven and with his tie semi-undone, so we know he's feeling bad. When Arya walks in and asks,
His shirt's untucked too.
Exactly. It's like slightly messed up. Fitz is like, the sneaking is over. I love you so much. I'm gonna be out in the open. I know, even if this relationship has looked wrong, it's felt right. Don't trust your gut. And to hell with Noel. I'm not gonna cower to his threats. And Arya's like, I love you, and kisses him. Yuck. Spencer attempts to open one of Ian's boxes quietly, but then Melissa comes home, so she tries to cover real quick and runs away. And Melissa comes home with bags, and an ovulation kit falls out of one of them. And Melissa's like, "Oh, we're trying to keep it quiet, but like, I'm trying to get pregnant." Spencer's like, with Ian, and it's just like, who the fuck else?
Which is fair.
Melissa says, I don't feel like being first place anymore or most important. I just, I gotta let all that stuff go. And Spencer's like, what changed? You wanted all those things last week. What the hell happened? Did you get hit over the head and like fall overboard like Goldie Hawn? Ian then comes home and is like, hey, I thought we were keeping this private, like really pissed. And this is like, don't worry, Spencer can keep a secret. And Ian's like, yes, I know.
Because I dated her briefly.
Uh-huh. Good. Hannah arrives home and deposits money into the lasagna box as Ashley comes home. And Anna's like, oh, I'm just going to cook this. And Ashley's like, I know when you're lying. I always know when you're lying. Like, let's fess up. What's happening? Hannah's like, shows her the money. And Ashley's like, where'd you get it from? And Hannah's like, I found it in the bathroom. As Ashley like waits, looks her up and down. Okay. And then walks away. And Hannah's like, how do you know I'm lying? And Ashley's like, I can't tell you that. I just know.
I know when you're lying.
Arya calls Byron to tell him that she's sleeping over at Spencer's. Like, so no worry. And they know her parents. And she's like really at Fitz, but she's really at Fitz's. And Fitz lights a candle. The next day, Hannah reacts poorly to the news that Spencer tells Hannah about Melissa trying to get pregnant, and Hannah reacts poorly. Spencer's like, we just have to find out what the hell is in those boxes. Emily then arrives at school and said that is all distraught because Maya's being sent to juvie camp for 3 months. Fitz stares across the classroom as music plays, and he packs his bag and leaves, and he starts walking down the hall and sees Arya, and they lock eyes as he's walking toward there. But in the background, we notice that police come in with Noel, and they open up his locker with the principal, and who we assume is a principal, some sort of faculty member. And then the faculty member is like, oh my God, you have 3 midterms worth of answers in here. And Noel's like, I'm being set up. As Fitz and Arya both look shocked. The friends then all receive a text that says, A is for Allison, not amateur. I don't think I'm Noel again. Arya.
How dare you? Honestly, same. You know what? I'd be pissed too.
The friends then have a debrief. Arya asks if she's more afraid of the A who ran over Hannah or the A who helped them. And Hannah is like, I was run over, so like, let's not conflate these two. But Arya is happy that she even says, A saved my relationship. Spencer says that's only because Spencer says that A only ran over Hannah because she thought that A thought Hannah saw something. What is the conjecture?
Your friend was hit by a car.
Yeah, exactly. Melissa then comes in and describes marriage. It's like I finally feel like I'm like settled. I don't have to like try so hard. This is
free.
great. I'm free. Ian then comes in and the two of them leave. Emily walks in and the three friends are like all smiley and there's like, why don't you go up to Spencer's room? There's something for you. So Emily walks upstairs, opens
It's
the
a fire
door.
hazard is what it is.
As Maya finishes lighting the 500th candle.
That they put on fabric stools.
It's like all over the place. It's like, you can't be doing this. You gotta
Spencer's
blow all
room
those
was
out.
entirely wood and fabric.
I know. Maya's like, I'm leaving in the morning. And Emily's like, how did this happen? And she's like, well, let's just say it takes a village. And Emily's like, this is all my fault. Maya's like, that's not true. And they embrace.
Your mom's a sociopath. It's not your fault.
Exactly. That is not on you at all. Aria.
Also, Maya's parents, who are chill as hell, are sending her to military camp for a Altoid container of weed.
Apparently, this is not the first time she's been caught. I didn't mention that. That's what Pam says earlier. Does she say that, or is that in the deleted scene?
I don't remember, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Aria. The deleted scene is Emily and Pam being like standoffish,
Arguing on Lorelai's front porch.
Yep, about Maya. Aria finds a paper from. They're digging through Ian. The rest of the three friends are digging through Ian's boxes. Aria finds a paper from when Allison disappeared in Ian's box, and Spencer dismisses it as everyone kept that. That seems like maybe you should at least put a pin in that. We then see a POV from outside the house watching the three friends. They all hear Maya and Emily being happy upstairs, and Hannah's like, I'm jealous of Emily's love life. I mean, other than her like girlfriend being sent away to juvie camp.
Yeah, just break up with Sean already.
Exactly, please.
You're miserable, girl.
Oh my god, yeah, it's like you hear like couples talking about it. It's like, oh my god, the husband is so off. It's like the opposite. It's like this sounds
the old ball and chain. I'm like,
my girlfriend's driving me crazy. Jesus. Maya and Emily embrace in a PG way. They just like hug. Emily and Maya then come downstairs and Maya thanks them all. The POV shot outside watches the friends as Maya leaves. Emily thanks all her friends for doing that for her, says that Maya is going to True North. And Hannah's like, oh my god, True North? Someone like she mentions the name. They went there as a glue huffer and came back a drummer in a gospel band. And Emily's like, cool, thanks, I feel better now.
Not at all anxious.
Exactly. Their phone then goes off. A phone goes off with a text that says, don't say I didn't get you anything. Check your computers. They open a laptop and find the Don't You Want to Kiss Me video in their email.
I know you want to kiss me.
But it has the final clip that we saw last week on this podcast where it turns around and we see Ian and all the friends are shocked. The camera then drops to the ground. We kind of hear them kiss. Allison's hand then goes down on the ground as the friends freak out again. Her fist grabs some dirt and then lets go. The friends then hear a noise outside as the camera cuts to a figure running in the woods, and the friends all trying to find them but like missing their trail, and says they're like missing them and wondering where they're hiding. The end.
Yeah, so lots to unpack there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
From that video, do you think Ian killed Allie?
Yes. Do you want me to, or should I do my theorizing now?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
That was on my list.
So Ian, let's take Ian. We'll put him in a separate box. One of two things. He either, in my mind, he either did murder Allie or attempted murder on Allie. Out of the one or two possibilities that, for my current theories of whether A is someone else or is in fact Allison, but just like not dead, presumed dead. And so I think Ian did do something that wasn't caught on the camera. I think that camera is them fooling around.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe something else like happens after that video.
Okay.
And so
dog is very aggressively cleaning himself.
Oh yes. So
I hope the mic doesn't pick up its snort.
I don't think so. With this, I feel like A is trying to do things. A is not the killer. I don't think I'm fully bought in on that idea now.
Okay.
That A is different from Allison's killer, and that is trying to potentially get revenge for, or yeah, like trying to get revenge or trying to seek things of like who Allison's killer is, and like trying to vindicate like Allison in some way or get like some revenge on people that like would have wronged Allison.
So then with your theory, Ian couldn't be A
Yes.
because A is attacking Ian.
Yes.
Okay.
And you know, there could be curveballs of like where like A is like intentionally getting themselves like set up somewhere so it doesn't look like them, like with Noel or with Ian.
Okay.
But I feel like the evidence is piling up too much for Ian as being a person, as someone who aggrieved Allison.
A person of interest.
Exactly. Specifically. And so that's why he's being targeted, and the friends are all finding out about this.
So do you think
So-
Ian killed Allison?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, okay. So I have two theories on that.
Okay.
So the first one is that the theory or that A is someone else that isn't Allison. And so for right now, my best lead, even though I'm at the station going, you know, they're going to go make the arrest, but like at the station, I'm like, I don't feel good about this one. Is still Fitz.
Okay.
I don't know what his attachment to Allison was, but here's some things. Meeting up with Aria at the beginning was not a coincidence.
Okay.
Starting that relationship was, in fact, coordinated.
Oh.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
He's got a whole. We need a cork board.
Exactly. This is a
Carry on.
But
Fuck it up.
also, out of everybody's that happen, all the things that are revealed, he's the one who benefits from whatever A is messing around with in this episode directly.
Because you also then believe that Noel is not A.
Yes.
Okay,
Exactly.
okay.
So then Noel is then being. Noel gets shipped off as he was, there you go, a threat directly against Fitz. And so then that gets the trail, the one person who would know about their relationship off the board.
Okay.
Outside of A.
Oh.
Exactly. So that's like a potential there. I don't know why, but
You follow your heart, baby.
he could have known Allie through like some other ways over the past year. We just don't. That's a big blind spot. We don't know what he was doing before this season started.
We have literally no idea.
We knew
what his
he
life
went.
has
We
been.
knew he went to Hollis. That's about it. So that's one theory. And that's my reasons. But the other reason is that Allison is still alive. Not coming back because of God knows reasons yet. But these are all things. It's like she is using control of the friends by proxy through their secrets to then be able to like find out dirt on other people and then enact revenge on people that she's like thinks might have gone against her or grieved her.
So then you think an option is that Allie is alive and that she's A.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's she's using the control of her friends to make them do things and dig up dirt to potentially find out some sort of information about like that who might have come after her or like put pressure on people that she doesn't like.
So
That's
then
my best theories.
who was dead and who was wearing the Allison bracelet?
Right.
Okay. Fair enough.
I don't know.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I don't know. That's my best guess. with
I
the
like it. I
information
like
that we
it.
have so far. Those are my two.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else
then-
on that list? Any other suspects?
No, I couldn't pull any together. I was like looking, I was like, no, not them. No, not them.
I just
And,
want to
like,
explore all your options,
yeah,
you know?
and
I
I
want
just-
you to be able to feel like maybe you had it right at the end.
Exactly. So I was like, oh, maybe one of the protagonists, maybe. But it's like,
Like one of the girls?
yeah, because it could be. But like, I was like, I can't. Yeah.
You also do know that like the show carried on for so long that like, they can't kill off any of those four girls.
Well,
Well, I guess they could, but
yeah.
you
'cause
knew that they were all in it because you saw that very last episode.
I only remember the reveal in the very last episode.
Oh, you don't remember anything else?
Nope.
I thought you'd remember the four faces, but
No.
apologies, I've ruined that for you.
So they were never on my consideration anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So that's That's my best guess at this point. That's the case I have, even though I don't feel.
You don't feel good about it?
Yeah, I don't feel strongly about it.
That's fair enough. I love that you are firmly out of the like Noel's A camp, because I feel like what that episode was designed to do is to make you think it could be Noel because he writes the A on the paper.
Right, but
that was like a big deal at the time.
I think he's like the A text said, he's an amateur. He's just trying to leverage for his own gains there. He's not playing this master manipulator thing.
Do you think he knows about A?
No.
So you think he just happened to be there while Hannah was eating the cupcakes?
Yeah. I do. I think Noel being around places, they just said, oh, wow, he just happens to be everywhere. I think he just happens to be places. Yeah, I think it's just coincidence.
What about A being at Hannah's party? Because they had to steal the money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know about that one.
That busts a Fitz theory.
Yeah, so that's like the biggest problem with the Fitz theory is like how he would get places also to the hospital without people knowing.
Yeah, it's not like Mr. Fitz dropped off my homework.
Exactly, or just I don't know, had a hood up or something and just wandered through the crowd. So I don't know. That's I can't explain that.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair
or it's
enough.
a peer, a third option is like it's a peer that we don't know yet. But with my evidence in front of me, I can't make that guess yet.
You can't make that argument.
Because, that's just like, that could be anything at that point.
Yeah, the other issue would be like Allison couldn't walk into the party.
Exactly.
Yeah, that does put a damper in both those theories.
But also, knowing this show and knowing soap operas, could it just be Allison with brown hair? Yes. Could it be Fitz with a wig? You know what I mean? Like,
what do you think Fitz's wig would look like?
Yeah, or exactly. I don't know, but like it could just like she could have like changed her hair and people don't know who she is. That could totally be an option. Like,
I love it.
And then just wearing, or like she's wearing a hat, or like wearing
a baseball hat.
Yeah, exactly. If there's one thing I've learned also from like masks, it's not to make fun of the Clark Kents in the world as a disguise.
Yeah.
So it could be something as simple as that. It's just like now she's rocking a pixie cut, so no one recognizes her.
Fair enough. Fun. Okay.
But yeah, like I said, I'm on shaky ground here. This is to the best of my ability.
So then, like, okay, with your A theories, then what does A want?
Some sort of revenge on these people for a slight for specifically Allison. So that would mean that Allison and Fitz were connected in the past, with my Fitz theory.
Okay.
Because
yeah, or Allison is just seeking revenge for herself.
Exactly.
Okay. I accept.
And just knowing who she is, like.
Menaces.
Exactly. So she's using the leverage on her friends to get what she wants.
So if you went with your Allison theory, then do you think Allison visited Hannah at the hospital?
No.
I
still think that's a hallucination. Yeah.
Okay, I love it.
Uh-huh.
Fair enough. Okay, let's see here. We've already dug into those. Melissa had a spiritual awakening.
Yeah, exactly. I need to let go.
I need to chill out.
Yeah.
Me too.
I like that we should be skeptical of this. That it's like, oh, a man did not save her from like trying hard. It's like, no, this seems fishy. What the hell's happening?
This is sus.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's not like, oh man, now that I have this like loving relationship, I feel so much better. It's just like, there's something up here, which is a good spin on that.
I like that. And but Hannah calls it. Hannah's like, yeah, Melissa's? No.
Right. Yeah. At one point, Hannah's like, sure, I'll play along that we're all like playing house together.
Uh-huh.
Not playing house, but being nice to each other.
I love it.
So yeah, something, I don't know what's going on with that either.
The Melissa Ian. So then how does, so Ian is just then almost like a victim of whatever the game is that A is playing?
Not really a victim.
A victim of the game.
He's just a target. Yeah.
Then is Melissa just there?
Yes. She has completely different names and he's completely lying to her about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, she may actually just, the kid thing and Spencer being like, well, you never told anything about that. Is a strange one too. So I don't know.
Maya's gone. Will she be back?
Yes. Okay. I do think Maya's going to be back, but it's going to be a while. It's going to be like maybe the end of the season for those 3 months. I think this is like one of those things where you have guest stars, so you can only have them on so many episodes because of, I think, union the things. So I don't think this is a character that is like shipped off like Alex is. I think, well, I mean, she is shipped off, but but I think she will be back. I think it's just one of those things where they can't have her in every single episode, so they've got to like kind of pace her off, like give her a reason to not be around for a little while.
Fair enough. Okay. So then is A the person watching them outside of the house while they're watching the video?
No.
Who's that?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out. Because I don't think it's A, because obviously A then sends the email.
You don't think A just wanted to watch and see? It's like watching someone open their presents. Like,
yeah,
you're just
I guess that's
I want to see how you.
Let me see.
What do you think?
No, but I think they're gonna catch this person next episode, and they're gonna be like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I found out about this." Maybe Mona. That'd be really funny. I don't know why. Maybe Mona being jealous, but of them hanging out. But that doesn't sound right. That's what I hope. But
just like a jealous friend.
Totally, and that she also finds out about Ian.
Oh.
But who do I think it actually is? Probably Toby.
I think it's Tobes.
I think it's Toby.
We talked about Toby and Spencer. Spencer's moment of
yeah,
and the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes that day.
I'm just like, maybe I was wrong. Like, I don't think A would cry this much.
I really don't think a murderer would be crying behind a dumpster.
No. Oh, God. Yeah, we mentioned of just how sad it is of him, like, walking through. It's that same monster imagery of just like, no one understands me. And he's just sadly walking through there as they're like, boo, boo this man, boo.
Poor Toby.
Yeah, Toby, a lot of abuse.
Poor
the kids
Toby.
running across the street.
Yeah, with the ice cream.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. The people of Stars Hollow are mean. That's what you said to me.
Exactly. Extremely mean.
Okay, so any other big points you want to bring up before we go into secrets, menaces, and your favorite liars?
Oh, so there's like a weird thing with deleted scenes. It was for the last episode that we watched on the DVD where they'd cut out an entire arc between Ella and Aria where Ella was good. Like, I agreed to go on a date. And then and Aria's upset, kind of like weirded out by that, but then like sees Ella later, like drinking at a bar by herself. And it's like, I couldn't go through with it. I'm still like a mom and a wife. Like, I feel awkward about this. And Aria's like, next time, like, take this guy up on a date and don't worry. So I just wanted to flag that because I don't know if that's going to like come up later with like the whole situation with her dad.
I think that's why they put that line in the beginning at that breakfast scene so that we know that she is dating. Right.
But that like Aria is okay with her mom doing this, I think is the point. That I'm curious if that comes up later. Whoop. So we shall see. But I don't know. So that's one thing I wanted to flag there. So the one thing during that pause when I took our dog out, I just wanted to reiterate how ridiculous the Hannah plot line in this is in flashback. It is, like we mentioned earlier, very after school specially of just like, well, it's really bad that she felt bad about her like body weight, but like bulimia isn't the answer. But they don't like really like understand.
They also never say anything is what it is. They're afraid to call things what they are.
Exactly. And so they just it's not even about like what it actually is. And she's wearing a ridiculous fat suit again too.
And it's every time it's a different outfit, and it's just so odd.
Because sometimes it just looks like she's wearing a sweater. Other times, like this time, it looks like she is wearing something bigger. So it's like, and we mentioned like way long ago, the show doesn't conceptualize like different body images. So and doesn't really understand eating disorders. Not that we know of. So it's yeah, exactly. It's just like, well, like how awful this bullying would have led her to this. Yeah, nothing insightful about it.
Yeah. No, it's sad.
Yeah, not great.
So,
but just roll my eyes is probably like the theory. It's not like super offensive, but it's just like, go ahead.
It's just not helpful either.
No.
So who's in the woods? We went over that. You don't know. You have theories, but
yeah,
each one we
threw out a couple of them. Yeah, we'll see.
You went through our secrets. We go through our secrets.
Yep.
Let's check in on our favorite menaces. How's Jenna?
Oh God, again, nothing changed. I guess she wasn't in this episode, but
Mm-mm.
yeah, I just don't like the Toby
Mm-hmm.
predatory situation.
Let's Melissa. We see a little Melissa in this one.
Yes, poor Melissa.
Yeah, something's up there.
It definitely seems like a really bad situation for her. We did talk about it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it just seems like something's bad is going on with her.
Something very bad is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Noel.
That is probably Ian manipulating her. We can only assume.
Noel.
Yeah, he's just an asshole now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, oh yeah, well, like I don't feel bad about him getting
Strung along by A
or exactly whatever, like set up. Because he wasn't doing the right thing. He's actually talking about this predatory relationship that's happening that he knows about. Instead, he tries to spin it as like this demands that he can like further for himself rather than like actually helping out.
Yeah, he's in it for himself.
Yeah, notifying authorities to at least get him out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he like just went to the school board, you know.
Yeah.
Not that I think they would do anything, but he would probably be at least fired.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you should probably not have him teaching at the school.
Exactly.
Okay, who else? Who am I missing? We didn't really get any Mona.
No.
We didn't really get anyone else.
Mm-mm.
This wasn't a very
just a
large
protagonist.
cast.
Yeah, just protagonists set up this episode, and a more Emily highlighted one with Maya being shipped off. Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, juvie camps are bad.
Yeah. No.
Like, how is that supposed to help your kid?
Mm-mm.
Fuck him up.
Yeah, no. And then we talked about what does A want. Depends on who it is. Even then, still really unclear.
So at least my prevailing theory is across both all the people that A is out for some sort of revenge on behalf of Allie.
Do you think so? Since A signed the cast, we assume A fesses up to having hit Hannah.
Supposedly, yeah.
Allegedly. Do you think that was A? Or do you think
there's a copycat A?
Or no, or do you think
or do we think it was Noel?
Yeah, or do we think someone else hit Hannah and then A was like, oh, this I can sign my name to it? Or because like hitting Hannah and then like helping Aria seems like two very different concepts.
Yeah, exactly. See, but I think like the thing with Aria, I think hitting Hannah is an accident, no matter who did it. It was not intentional. They were driving away, like, hurriedly trying to get out of there, and then, like, hit Hannah. And we're like, oh, shit, I went too far.
You think they hit Hannah on accident?
Yeah.
Really?
And I think it was, like, passion. That was not planned.
Oh, yeah, but that was a reaction. They intentionally hit her with the car, though.
Yes.
Okay.
But,
I was like, I don't think
that wasn't planned to, like, gravely injure one of them. And I think the stuff with Aria is either I'm keeping you around on the line as leverage, because Noel's trying to spoil my fun.
Yeah.
Or if it's Mr. Fitz, then it's just like keeping it going.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fair enough. Okay.
So when Aria is like all happy and it's just like, well, I don't know. Maybe we have a friend now. It's like, no, they're just trying to keep you on the hook because you're useful when you have information on you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it does seem like Aria got the best deal in this episode.
Yes, but I think it is, well, I mean, it's keeping her in a bad relationship. It's a predatory relationship, and also at the same time, it's keeping the leverage on her is still around.
All right, and then let's play my favorite game. Who's your favorite liar?
Hannah.
Still?
Yeah.
Did any
Remember one with the bullet?
What about your others? Okay, same order.
Yeah, probably the same. Oh, crap. Why did I like Aria this week? I feel like Aria moved into third place for reasons I can't.
She bullied the football players out of Hannah's way.
Yes, I did like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that a lot. And also like her talking to Noel. It's like, Noel, is this about something else? Are you trying to get back at it? Like,
yeah, like what's wrong? Get it together,
a little bit
kid.
more proactive stuff and not like blaming her parents for things that I liked in this episode. And I put Emily fourth. Not that I don't like her. It's just like she is things are happening to her in a really like, it's not exciting way as a character.
Yeah, it's not about her as much too.
No, yes, and it just kind of sucks like in general for her. So I don't enjoy that plot line as much. And then Spencer is just like aggro and controlling. but also like I have like photographic memory. But the like to Emily, like, well, I thought you'd be happy that I wasn't like targeting Toby anymore.
So, speaking of Spencer, so Alex is gone. How long until we get a new love interest?
Next week.
Okay. How long until Emily has a new love interest?
Next week.
Okay. Aria has God knows what. And Hannah and Sean? How long?
Yeah, that's okay. It's a tough one. Maybe not next week, but the week. Yeah, maybe the week after. So let's give it 3-4 episodes.
Okay. All right. Any final thoughts?
No, that's it. I like these episodes. Had a good time with them.
Yeah,
these were good ones.
They were good ones. It gets a lot better, I think, like as we go into this like end of season and then season 2.
Yeah, there's a lot more momentum now.
Our dog is staring dramatically out the door. Do you want to let him out? Father, I would like to go on patio. No, he just wants to sit there. Shall we plug?
Let's do it.
All right. When I'm not here doing this, and I'm sitting over there doing other things, and hitting Brenton's chair, you can find all of the details around my life and career coaching business, my social media, everything at butreallythough.com. Though is spelled THO.
You can find the video version of this podcast on YouTube at Dead Ends. You can also find the audio version of this podcast on any of your podcast platform of choice, also at Dead Ends. Subscribe, leave 5 stars, leave a thumbs up. We love any interaction, and
be nice.
We appreciate it. Yeah. Yeah, it's always helpful for us. And then you can find me on Twitter at Brenton. I usually don't plug that, but there you go. And then you can also find our Let's Plays on my YouTube channel at Burger Discourse, and my blog, which I need to post a new blog post, at burgerdiscourse.com.
Twitter, the devil's app.
It truly is.
You can leave your A notes on Brenton's Twitter.
Exactly. Maybe we should open up an email or something at some point.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, probably a good idea.
Future idea.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well.
Oh, yeah, I do the sign off. We're still here, and we're going to find out everything.
Mm-hmm. We are. Maybe.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Or at least come up with theories.
You got theories, baby. You got well thought out theories.
Thank you.
You got thoughts.
Mm-hmm. But we're down at the station. I'm not quite sold.
You need to start stacking up the donuts.
It doesn't add up. Exactly, yeah. Just like Agent Cooper.
Maybe on the one where we get like the big reveal, we'll get donuts, and you can stack up donuts and lay out the plot for everybody.
Perfect. That sounds good.
All right. Bye, friends.